Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss a question from your General Studies 2 paper from the topic Indian Constitution and Historical Underpinnings. The UPSC examination has tried to concentrate on this topic a bit less, but it forms a cornerstone of your understanding of Indian Constitution. Today we are going to take up a question which has been asked in your civil service mains examination in 2016. It's a 12.5 mark answer to be answered in 200 words. In this question, we will see what is the demand of the question by understanding the keywords and structure of the question and give the answer for the question. Here is a handwritten answer. In the given framework, you will find the answer. But however, if you want a more detailed answer, students for reference can look at the R.C.Reddy IAS Study Circle GS2 question book, where a detailed answer with more value addition content will be available. It is not just this answer, but all the answers from 2013 to 2025 are covered comprehensively in this book. The link for the book is present in the description of this video, and I request all the students to go through the link and to the book for their advantage. With that, we will see the question and understand the demand of the question first. As you can see, the question says, did the Government of India Act 1935, Government of India Act 1935 lay down a federal constitution? Did it lay down a federal constitution? Discuss. So the question is very straightforward. It is asking about Government of India Act 1935 and it is saying, please discuss whether it is federal constitution or not. So if we can identify all the tenets of a federal constitution and see whether the Government of India Act 1935 did justice to them or not, you can make a very good answer for this question. We can start with introducing the Government of India Act 1935 itself. Here is an introduction which says, the Government of India Act 1935 is the most sophisticated colonial attempt, because as you know, after this the act is just the 1947 Act, the India Independence Act. So you must have read in your fundamentals of your polity also that the Government of India Act 1935 is like a backbone to the Constitution of India. It provides a structural framework for the Constitution of India. So it here in this act we can say that the form, the structure of federation has been present, but the spirit of federation is lacking. Why is it so? We will see in the next half of the question. What is the federal characteristics that they try to present? The first important thing is the act tried to present what is known as the federal lists, the legislative lists through the division of powers. It has called for a federal, provincial and concurrent list. So all the three legislative lists have been provided, the federal, provincial and concurrent lists. By this way, you will see there is a division of powers. You can find this in Article 246 of our Indian Constitution or the 7th schedule of Indian Constitution. You will find this provision where the federal, provincial and concurrent lists have been present. Next, the act tried to provide for what is known as provincial autonomy. Previously, the provincial autonomy was not present and majorly the presidencies, the Bombay, Bengal and Madras had a lot of control. But here the provincial autonomy was presented and seen that these provinces are not just mere agents, but they are coordinate units with the center. This is second important point. The third point is, it has created many federal institutions to see that the federal disputes are solved and federal representation is also present. Two such institutions are the Federal Court that was formed in 1937 and a bicameral legislature was present at the center. Right? In this way, the Act has tried to provide for certain institutions as such, but the realities of the Act are a bit different. The realities of the Act are the first important thing. Though the Act was formed, the Act could not be said as a supreme law in India, because the sovereignty for the federation end of the day rested with the British Parliament. The British Parliament was supreme. Hence, the Federation of India cannot be considered supreme on its own, but rather it was just formed by a law. It was not in the constitutional setup or not in a very concrete manner, and hence it lacked the legitimacy that it called for. The next point is, though the All India Federation was called for, the princely states refused to join. The princely states refused to join, and hence the federation never took the shape itself. This is one of the biggest flaw possible that you can find. The third point is actually the veto power. Here it meant that though you called for All India Federation, the Governor Generals and the governors had extremely high discretionary powers. These discretionary powers were enough to overrule the provincial legislatures also. Hence, the federal spirit was not actually put in shape, and it has a huge unitary bias. Hence, all these points you can discuss and say that the 1935 Act was a quasi-federal legislation with heavy unitary bias. Though you tried to create an administrative shell or framework, it lacked democratic soul. Why it lacked democratic soul? Because as you remember, the formation of 1935 Act itself happened without consultation with the public. Since it happened without the consultation of public, it did not have a democratic bias. And also it lacked constitutional supremacy because it was just formed by a law and the British Parliament was supreme. Hence you can say that it is not a true federation, but the only major achievement of this is that it formed a structural blueprint for India's constitution. So friends, what are the learnings from this question? The learnings from this question is, first read the question properly, understand what are the keywords and then the demand of the question. Once you understand the demand of the question, try to get points that you can fill in for a good introduction, body and conclusion. Structure the answer with relevant points and write down in time and word limit. This is an approach that we constantly tell all our students at R.C.Reddy IAS Study Circle, and also have tailor-made a program for such initiative called the Strategic Revision for Mains. In the Strategic Revision Mains program, faculty members at R.C.Reddy IAS Study Circle identify all the relevant themes in a paper based on the syllabus and previous year questions and the current events happening. They make a list of relevant subjects and take offline classes to the students where they will provide thematic learning, theme wise ready to consume points for the students, where they will get introduction, body, conclusion, value addition points for all these themes. This will help students to readily consume the content and then replicate in their mains answers. This has hugely benefited many students and gain more marks in their mains examination. I request all the students to contact R.C.Reddy IAS Study Circle and get enrolled in this program so as to make maximum benefit for their mains exam. Thank you.